So for today's class, if you have a blanket nearby, that could be helpful. And a yoga block could be helpful too. We're going to be exploring some different ideas with stira and sukha, or steadiness and ease. And we'll be checking out some different pieces with posture today. So let's start off on our back on the mat. No rush, no hurry to get there. And when you make your way down, you can decide if it feels good to stretch and reach, or to rock when you get here, or if it feels better to just rest. That might depend on what you were doing before class. If it feels good to just settle and not move, if you've been very busy, or if you've been in one place, it might feel good to rock or reach. And just choose what feels best for you. And as you settle into that motion that feels good, whether it's a rock or a reach, start to notice your breath. And we don't have to change the breath. We can just notice it. Maybe resting the hands on the belly. And to notice if the breath affects the shape of the belly. And then maybe starting to bring the feet to the mat if they're not already, bending the knees. And noticing how this shape feels on your back. You can rest the arms wherever they're comfy. And then if you stretch the legs out long, notice how this shape feels for your back. And if you're not sure the difference, bend the knees again, bring the feet to the mat. And then stretch the legs out long. And if you were to slide a hand in under the low back here, just notice how much space there is. And then when you bend the knees and bring the feet to the mat, notice if that changes. For most of us, it will. And depending on what we have going on in the low back, one might be more comfortable than the other. If you're comfortable here with the knees bent, the feet on the mat, we'll take a moment to explore some of the movements with the pelvis and the hips. If you take and tilt the hips toward the legs, that should feel like it's making a bigger space in the low back. And then if you just release that, the back will come toward neutral. So let's take just that part for a moment, bringing the hips toward the thighs, and then just releasing that back toward neutral. And try it again. And notice if you tend to link your breath with that. And the tendency is to inhale as we shift the hip toward the thigh and make a bigger space in the low back. And then to exhale as we release that. You might find that when you release, your back wants to press down automatically into the mat. But it's nice to navigate where that natural neutral set point is first. So try one more, bringing the hip points toward the thighs. And gently releasing to neutral. And then just take a pause, maybe give the knees a little rock, let that settle. And then we'll try sending the low back toward the mat by tipping the hips. And you can rest your hands right on the top of the hip crest, or that ASIS point, your anterior superior iliac spine. Feel that point now tip closer toward the ribs, or tip away from your legs as the low back moves toward the mat. And then just gently release. Then tip the hips toward the ribs and gently release. And just notice again, does your breath tend to move a certain way with this movement? Maybe it exhales when you press the back down, and then inhales back to neutral. You can even try switching the breath up to see what happens then. Let's go one more like this. And then if you'd like, we'll put the two movements together, taking that tip of the hips toward the thigh, coming back to neutral, and then sending the low back to the mat, and coming back to neutral. And just notice if your body doesn't want to pause there in neutral, if it wants to go from one shape to the next. Seems like this is a thing for us in our culture too. We just want to go from one thing to the next thing. And taking that time to pause or settle, it's really valuable for our nervous system, both in a shape like this and in life. So let's go one more each way. And then the next time you come back to neutral, bring the legs out long again. And just notice if anything feels a little different than that first time we stretched the legs long today. It feels a little more comfy. You can just notice if the space under the low back is about the same. And then if you decide you need a gentle practice, you can stay put just like this and just breathe. Or if you're ready to bring a little movement, go ahead and bend the knees. And we'll take one ankle to the top of the other thigh. As you exhale, draw the knee in toward the ribs. Maybe finding a little rock here for reclined pigeon. And if you like, you can hold on to the back of the thigh. But if you do, just notice if your shoulders lift up when you do that. Could you keep the shoulders down while you do that? And taking a breath, gently rocking. And then when you're ready, gently float foot to the mat. And before we switch sides here, take a moment to bring that knee in toward the ribs. And do a little squeeze. Hands can come behind the thigh to press the heel up high. Exhale to bend the knee, drawing in close. Inhale to press and lift. Exhale to draw in. One more like this. And then as you bend the knee, go ahead and take ankle to the thigh. And we'll just revisit reclined pigeon on that same side one more time. Just noticing if anything feels a little different. And then when you're ready, we'll prepare to move towards side two. Taking a little pause in either constructive rest, knees bent, feet on the mat, or Shavasana to let things settle. And you might notice if that creates any sense of, oh, I'm ready to go to side two. Just allowing yourself a little pause to let side one settle. And then bringing the feet to the mat, preparing for side two. We'll take the other ankle to the top of the thigh. And if there's enough stretch there, you might stay put. Or go ahead and draw that knee in toward the ribs. You can hold behind the thigh. That feels good. Just notice if the shoulders lift up. Could they anchor on the mat while still supporting the thigh? Can you breathe when you're here? It's a good indicator if we're pushing too far, as if we're holding our breath. Remember, you can release the leg for a little bit of a more gentle movement. Maybe rocking a little side to side. And then when you're ready, go ahead and release that right foot to the mat, or the bottom leg to the mat. And take the knee in toward the ribs. You can give it a little squeeze here, close. And then support the back of the leg as you inhale, pressing the heel up high. Exhale to bend the knee. Inhale to press. Exhale to bend. One more. Inhaling up. Exhale to bend. Maybe with one more little squeeze close. And then send that ankle back to the top of the thigh and find reclined pigeon one more time, noticing if there's anything different here. And then when you're ready, let the foot find the mat. Choose either constructive rest, Shavasana, or another comfortable shape to let yourself soften down. Taking a little pause here. And if you find that you're really happy in that pause and you just want to stay put, go ahead, feel free to. This is Yogi's Choice next. You can stay put and just rest. If you'd like to add a little gentle movement, we'll bring the knees in toward the belly, and we can rock here and circle the knees. Or if you'd like to start to warm the core, bring in a little more oomph, what we'll do is we'll bring the knees close. Now as you exhale, we'll curl the head up, drawing in close. As you inhale, explore lengthening the arms and legs out, finding a little hover over the mat. Exhale, bring it in close. Inhale, find length and hover. Exhale, drawing in close. One more inhale, finding length to hover. Exhale, draw it in close, and then relax the head and shoulders back down to the mat. Maybe finding a little rock. Then when you're ready, we'll start to make our way towards seated. No rush, no hurry. You can roll your way up, or you might rock your way to the side and then reach through the top arm and the top leg to come up towards seated. Feel free to tuck a blanket in under the hips and seated. So the work we were doing on the mat, just exploring where neutral is for the pelvis. We'll take a moment to explore where neutral is for the pelvis when we're seated. And for a lot of us, when we sit flat on the mat, it puts the hips and the pelvis tipped back a little, which sets up the low back to find a little bit of rounding backward. And that's not the natural shape of the low back. The natural shape of the low back is this lordotic curve, or curve forward. And adding a little lift in under the pelvis, that helps take some pressure off of the hips and can help our back find that neutral shape a little more readily. So you can try that. Feel free to try sitting without the blanket. And the blanket's especially helpful if when you're sitting without it, you notice that It's kind of like your body wants to roll back or tip back. And then with the blanket might help. So when you find your comfy seat, we'll take a moment here and just find a little shift side to side, drawing a little link to the spine. And then we'll give the spine movement in 7 different directions. The first one is called axial extension. And that's when we lengthen up through the crown of the head. And that means we might feel like we grow a little taller. And can we breathe when we're there? And then let's anchor the right fingertips to the mat. See about bringing that left arm up and over, finding a little side bend, and just breathe here. Now we usually link the breath with this. We would inhale up and exhale up and over. So you're welcome to do that if you like. Or you might today just invite your breath to flow naturally. And see if it tends to follow the movement on its own. Next inhale takes it all the way to center. And then pause. See if you can feel any echoes from that movement. Then let left fingertips find the mat. See about taking that right arm up and over. And just breathe here. And if it works to inhale up and exhale over, that's great. That's our classic breath. But what if you just invited your body to breathe the way it felt natural to here? And when you find your way back to center, take a little pause there. And notice how things feel. So those are 3 directions we can move the spine. The axial extension, our side bend or lateral flexion, lateral bending. The next one we'll take is rotation. As you exhale, we'll find a little twist gently to one side. And when you inhale, we can come back to center. And exhale, find a gentle twist. Inhale back to center. We can keep that breath pattern if it feels good, or you can just let your breath move naturally here. Finding your way back to center. Moving toward the gentle twist. Find your way back to center. And then we'll go one more time each way as we find this last side one. Take a pause here and notice if it feels like you can lift off through the crown of your head. Go ahead and release towards center. Take a little pause. And then when you're ready, we'll find side 2. Noticing, pausing to notice if we can lift a little taller from the crown. And then gently releasing back to center. Notice if you're breathing toward the belly. So those are rotations, rotating to the left and the right, 2 more directions to move the spine. And then the next 2 are flexion and extension. They're 2 that we do pretty frequently. And we'll first take them from seated so we can explore how the hips can help us in these shapes. So this first round of flexing and extending, I'd like you to rest your hands on your hips and see if you can keep the hips still. So we won't let them tilt forward or tip back. Try to keep the hips still. As you exhale, think about gently rounding forward. And when you inhale, think about finding a gentle arch back. And notice if the hips want to move. We can maybe exhale a little round forward. Maybe inhale a little round back, or a little arch back rather. So just noticing where it feels like that motion is coming from most in the back. So that's spinal flexion and spinal extension. And then we can bring the hips into this motion. When we hinge forward, we can do that end round the back, or we can hinge the hips forward, keeping the back long. Let's try keeping the back long first. With the hands on the hips, inhale tall. Exhale, hinge the hips forward. Can you keep your back long? And then release the hands to the mat. And if it's comfortable, allow your back to round. And just noticing the difference here with how far you go when we bring the hips into it. And then on the inhale, bringing your way back up towards center, towards seated. Take a little shift, settle in. If your legs are crossed, you might switch the leg that's crossed in the front. And then we'll explore what happens when we tip the hips back. Rest the hands on the hips. Go ahead and tilt the hips back. And then release the hands by the sides. And first, let's try a little arch here. Just lifting the collarbones up. Noticing the range again. Gently coming back towards center. Now, if you like staying seated here, if you'd like to stay off of the wrists and the arms today for any reason, we'll stay seated, exploring, rounding forward, and maybe starting to tip the hips back as we round forward. That would make our cat shape. And then tipping the hips forward as we find our gentle arch, like our cow shape. Or if it's comfy to come to all fours, let's find our way there. And we'll explore pairing these movements from all fours. In cat and cow, they're classic shapes. So when you exhale and you round the back, maybe even having a hand on the hips, can you feel how the hips tip? So the tailbone tips down and the top of the pelvis tips up. And then we find cow and the reverse happens. So we exhale to round. Inhale, gentle arch. And we're moving the spine, we're warming the spine, but also a good deal of this movement happens from the hips. So whether you're seated or in cat-cow, take a moment and find a nice neutral all fours. And then what if you held your hips in place? What if you tried not moving the hips? How far could you round without moving the hips? And then how far could you arch without moving the hips? It's a very different feel to the motion. You can think of flipping the way that the hips normally move. So thinking of the tail pointing down when we round for cat, and the tail pointing up when we arch for cow. Think about flipping them. Let the tail point up as you try to round. And then think of the tail pointing down as you try to arch. So the spine and the pelvis, when they're in good communication with each other, when they're in good balance, they have this nice rhythm of how they naturally move. It's called the lumbopelvic rhythm. Go ahead and find your normal cat and cow, one more each way. And then find a place to rest. Maybe it's child pose, settling the hips back. Maybe it's coming down to the belly, wherever you're comfy. Take a moment to soften and settle. And just letting some of that sink in. And then it's yogi's choice. If it feels good to stay here and rest, please do. If you'd like a gentle flow, you might play with cat and cow a little more. Or if you'd like to warm the core and get a little more work in your practice, we'll take 3 vinyasa flows. Those are our downward facing dog. And then inhale, toward plank. And exhale, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga if it's in your practice. Inhale to cobra or up dog. And exhale, down dog. And take your time. Flow if it feels good. Rest if it feels best. And you can always mix and match. Just choosing what suits you best for today. No rush, no hurry as you finish your last flow or prepare to move up from a rest. But as you do, we'll make our way back toward all fours. And take a moment to arrange and arrive there. And then we'll see if we can find a neutral spine, a neutral back here. Belly button tucks in toward the spine. The back has its natural curves. It can be tricky when we're taking a class online. We want to look at the computer, but see if you can set your gaze toward the mat in front of your fingertips so that the neck can be in line with the spine. Ground evenly through the hands, anchor down, especially where that first finger meets the hand. Toes curl in underneath. Find an inhale toward cow. Exhale, shift and lift the hips, downward facing dog. Pedal in, bend one knee to the other. Keep anchoring where the first finger meets the hand. As you exhale, step, walk, or hop your way toward the top of the mat. Relax the neck. Gentle nod yes or slow shake no. Relax the shoulders. As you exhale, bend the knees, shift the hips back behind. Inhale your way up toward chair, Utkatasana. And then inhale it all the way tall. Exhale, hands find the sides for Tadasana. First time you've been standing all class, so take a moment to arrive here. Take a couple of steps, give things a little shrug, a little roll. So there are some general guidelines for posture and for landmarks on what should be aligned with what when we stand in Tadasana. One of those is the ear aligns over the shoulder. But you might explore your neutral or your Tadasana just by sensing where there's stira, or steadiness, and sukha, or ease. So as you stand here, where does it feel like you're working to hold yourself up? For those of us who have forward head, it might feel like there's a lot of effort happening here in the shoulders as those muscles are working to help draw us into alignment and pull up. Or it might feel like that in your low back, especially if the muscles in the core, the abdominals, aren't engaged. So just take a moment here and see if you can find where it feels like you're really working to hold yourself here. And then we'll notice the weight on our feet. And think of the 4 points of the feet. and anchoring down evenly through the 4 points. Notice if that changes anything. Sometimes it makes the legs feel like they're working a lot harder, and that's okay. Anchor through the feet. Notice as you anchor through the feet if that creates any shift for the pelvis. It's really common, especially in our culture where we sit a lot, to have a little anterior pelvic tilt or a little extra curve in the low back, so it looks kind of like you're sticking your butt out when you're standing. If we anchor nice and even through the feet, we find that that gets a little more uncomfortable. It might make it feel better to tuck the tail slightly, thinking of the tailbone pointing down toward the mat, to find a nice neutral place for the pelvis. And then we might add that idea of lifting up through the crown of the head while we're here. Noticing again where it feels like things are working. And maybe seeing if the shoulders could soften back a little. Or if we could keep the legs active without any clenching of the toes or the muscles. And just notice your breath here. Now when you find an inhale, sweep the fingertips up tall. As you exhale, hinge from the hips. Let the hips start to fold, keeping the back long as we swan dive to forward bend. Relax your neck, gentle nod yes, or slow shake no. Allowing the nose to come toward the knees, and keeping them bent as much as you like. And then bending the knees deeper to frame the feet. Take a big step back with your right foot. Your choice. You can keep the right knee up for more challenge or bring it down to be more gentle, have more support. As you inhale, draw the fingertips up toward kneeling lunge, Anjaneyasana. And then settle the hands back by the heart. And take a pause and see if you can get a sense of where the curves are in your back here. And then maybe even resting the hands on the hips. See if the pelvis is in neutral. Sometimes when we're learning this shape, we have the pelvis tipped forward, and then we're working harder with the low back to stay upright. See if you can stack the hip up over the knee, having that nice neutral spine with its natural curves. And then squeeze the back knee toward the front foot. Squeeze the front foot toward the back knee. That should help you feel a little length in the front of the hip. You can have hands at the heart if it feels good, or send them up high. You can stay put here if it feels good, or take that right wrist, reach it up and over to the left to add a little more. And then inhale back to center. Now if this feels good and wobbly, you might just stay here, where we can add a little bit more engagement for the muscles in the deep core. If we bring the fingertips down to frame the front foot, and then walk that front foot over, so it's in line with the back knee. This is called an inline lunge. If it makes anything grumpy in the hips, it's okay to skip it. See if you can press back up toward the thigh. And then notice with the front foot in line with the back knee, that really shortens our base of support. That adds in this wobble, and the wobbles are actually a good thing. They help engage those muscles in the deep core. So don't worry about the wobbles. That shows that it's working. The only thing is if anything's getting grumpy in the hips, we want to back this off. We might just walk that foot over a little further. Or we can rest fingertips down on the blocks or a wall. And taking one more breath. And if it's not wiggly, try closing your eyes. That might add a wiggle for you. And then when you're ready, no rush, no hurry, go ahead and bring the hands down to frame the foot. You can leave it where it is for a moment. Let your right hand stay on the mat if that's comfy, or we can use a block here too to give a little more space. And explore if the back can stay long as your left hand finds that left thigh. And we take a gentle twist toward the left. You can stay put here. And you might be noticing that that right hip is dipping down. That helps to keep and set the spine up in line so that we're not torquing the back. If you feel steady, you can reach the left arm up. As you exhale, bring it down, frame the foot, and then we can slide or step back to all fours or a high plank. One breath here. Belly button to spine, keeping the head in line with the back. Exhale, shift and lift the hips. Downward facing dog. Yogi's choice. Stay here if it feels great. Pedal in and hold. If you'd like a rest, knees to the mat. Child pose. Or if you'd like more flow, there's time enough for 3 vinyasa flows. Yogi's choice. And always okay to do another pose that you're craving. Just choose what feels best. And take your time there, no rush, no hurry. Maybe notice your breath. And then when you're ready, we'll make our way back toward all fours. And taking a moment to settle there, taking a little pause. Notice if your brain is already doing side 2. These pauses can be really helpful for us and give us a chance to return our attention back to the present moment. And there's a theory that the forward head position often goes with trying to think ahead and not being present in the moment. Curl the toes in underneath. Inhale your way toward a cow shoe. Exhale, shift and lift the hips. Anchor through the palms. Your downward facing dog. Taking a breath here, pedal in. As you exhale, step, walk, or hop toward the top of the mat, forward bend. Relax the neck. Gentle nod yes or slow shake no. As you exhale, send the hips back behind. Inhale, belly button to spine, lifting for your chair. Remember, arms can stay parallel or they might go up for Utkatasana. And then inhale all the way up. Exhale, arms down by the side, finding your Tadasana. And just notice what shape you naturally go into as we find standing. Most of us, when we stand throughout the day, do something like this. We have more weight on one leg. Or sometimes we do this, we push one hip out to the side. So find your Tadasana nice and even, grounding through all 4 corners of the feet. Notice if the pelvis feels like it's in neutral. The tail isn't pointing back or pointing forward, it's anchoring down. Now as you inhale, sweep the fingertips tall. As you exhale, hinge from the hips, swan dive forward, forward bend. Relax the neck, release the shoulders. Then bend the knees and take a big step back with the left foot. A pause in runner's lunge. And you choose, you can keep the back knee up for this first piece if that feels good, or settle the knee down to the mat. As you inhale, lifting up for kneeling lunge, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, settle hands toward the heart. And take a moment and think of squeezing the front heel toward the back knee, the back knee toward the front foot. Or if your back foot is lifted, back foot to front foot. We're creating more structural integrity by hugging those in together. And then noticing the hips, whether the back foot is lifted or the knee is down. Notice the hips. Are they trying to tuck under? Are they pressing out? Could the hips find neutral? And then if it feels comfy, we'll inhale the fingertips up and then take that left wrist up and over to the right. Inhaling your way to center. Exhale, releasing the hands down. Now your choice. If this feels good and wobbly, just staying and holding here is fine. Or you might bring the hands down to frame the foot, to walk that front foot over in line with the back knee, just like you were on a balance beam. And then explore if you can float hands to the thigh. Now this does work best if the back knee is down. So if you haven't lowered the back knee already, you might do that here. And then kneeling lunge, this side could be really different. Maybe this side is super wobbly or less so. If you want to add more assistance, you might have a hand on a wall, a chair, or if you have a block nearby. Remembering that the wobbles are a good thing. We want to have a little bit of that challenge here to awaken those deep core muscles. That's transversus abdominis, the multifidus here in the low back, and even the pelvic floor. And if you're not wobbly enough, maybe you close the eyes, noticing if you can breathe while you wobble. When you find an exhale, fold to frame the front foot. The left hand stays on the mat or it finds a block. Explore if the spine can stay long while the right hand finds the right thigh. And if the spine can stay long, we might explore reaching the fingertips up top. Finding a half twist. Exhale, bring it down, framing the foot. Then sliding or stepping to all fours or high plank. One breath here. As you exhale, shift and lift the hips, downward facing dog. Yogi's choice. Is your body ready to flow? Is it ready to rest? Is it thinking of a pose that you really wished was in today's class? And take the time to practice what is most beneficial for your body in this moment. No rush, no hurry. Take your time. You might even notice where your attention is. If it's with your breath and body, or if it's thinking about what you're going to do after this class is over. And just notice. And then no rush, no hurry. But when you're ready, we'll make our way back to meet now in child pose. So just explore if it feels best to have the arms long, sometimes called extended child pose, or to have the hands tucked back behind. Can you breathe when you're here? Knowing that the lungs take up a lot of space on the back side of the body. And can you think about breathing into that territory? And when you find an inhale, gently starting to make your way back up towards seated. We'll bring hips to the side, the legs spin around forward. And then you're welcome to use your blanket tucked under the hips if you like. We're headed toward Baddha Konasana, or round angle pose. We have the bottoms of the feet together and the knees wide to the sides. When you get here, take a moment to notice the hips and just see how it would feel to tip the hips back or to tip the hips forward. And just explore. And then it's up to you if it feels good to stay here in center with the spine long. You're welcome to. You might take the fingertips back and lift the collarbones up if that feels best. Or you can exhale, hinging from the hips, folding forward. That might be just a couple of inches, or you might be sinking lower. Just finding a place where you can breathe. Gently inviting some length toward the inner thigh. No rush, no hurry. When you find an inhale, making your way back up towards center. And then exploring if it feels easy to have a neutral spine here. Or if you'd like to move the legs to another shape to see if that helps you have a nice neutral spine. Legs can go anywhere that they feel comfy. Just finding a place that feels like you can sit tall. And again, that might be with a blanket tucked under the hips. All good. When you find that length, take a pause and just notice your breath. When you're ready, we'll start to make our way down toward the back on the mat. It's up to you if it feels good. You can just hold one leg as a counterweight to roll down. If you'd like a little bit of challenge, you might use your boat pose and send boat long and low. Nice and slow until you find your way down toward the mat. And when you arrive there, notice how it feels to land with long legs. Notice if they feel different than at the start of practice. And if it feels like heaven, you can stay put and just settle into Shavasana. Or you might bend the knees and give them a little rock. You might draw them in toward the belly and rock. Taking the time to notice if there's anything that needs attention in the body to help you have the most comfortable Shavasana. The wrist might need a little motion. The arms might want to stretch, or the legs shift. Any motion you need. And if your back does not feel comfortable here, if there's a little extra curve in the low back or a little tip of the hips in your normal posture, sometimes being here is really uncomfy. So bending the knees to bring the feet to the mat like we started out with can help release the low back. And it's fine to take Shavasana just like this. So you choose, find the most comfortable place for you. And when you get there, start to notice the breath. And as you exhale, can you let your body get heavy and sink down into your mat? Notice if there are places that feel like they're still working to hold you up. And as you exhale, soften and settle, allowing them to let go. And taking care to release the muscles around the jaw. And think of softening the corners of the eyes. And take these next few minutes as time to just be, allowing your body to soak in the benefits of the practice. If you're able to take a long Shavasana today, please feel free to do so. Or if you're ready to bring motion back, you might start with the hands and the feet. Finding what's ready to stretch and reach out, or to bend in and draw close. And taking any movement that feels natural and kind. Eventually making your way over to rest on one side or the other. And pausing. And eventually making our way back upright toward a comfortable seated place. And you can find a little shift when you arrive, maybe remembering those 7 different directions we can move the spine in. Maybe giving the shoulders a shrug or the neck a little motion. And when you find an inhale, draw the spine tall and reach the fingertips up. And as you exhale, settle hands toward the heart. And thank you for taking this time to practice. And namaste.